Hello and welcome to this next episode in the Transformation What's Next series. Episode 3, Monsters. So how do you go about revealing these monsters that we may have created through a real or imagined threat that we perceived we needed to survive when we were young? Often people think that they are just of themselves. And I like to think of it this way, that there's monsters ready to jump out and protect you by jumping out and taking over, or reacting, if you like, whenever a supposed familiar, real or imagined, threat or risk is present. I would have, for example, a monster that would come out and attack you if you wanted to talk about feelings. That was a way that I survived for a long, long time. Unbeknownst to me and not even conscious of my reactive mechanisms. Sometimes you may have been talking to the monster, in fact, and I might not have even been in the conversation. But really, I can't think these protective mechanisms, which were created by you to survive some imagined threat, can come up at any time, and they in fact control you. You don't control them. In fact, at this point in time, you probably don't even believe they exist. So if things you made mean something, like for example I was abused and therefore that means no one cares for me or loves me and people abandon you and leave you on your own, if they become important to hide as though they are you and need to be protected since they are you, then they are what I call your monsters. I can't think of much more delusional than to think that you never overreact in any area from a past fear that you created a protective mechanism for, and believe that you have no monsters whatsoever in your closet, so to speak. Some people even will say that whilst they're feeding them. They'll feed their monsters of, I don't get it, I don't get it, I don't get it. And their monsters telling you, I'll make sure that this person never gets it. I would rather them live in the way that's familiar. And I've been around a long time protecting this person, I ain't going anywhere. So one way to reveal that is to have a real close look at who's in control. Are you reacting automatically? Is it uncomfortable to act differently? It's in that uncomfortableness that you might get suspicious that something else might be in control. See it for what it really is and for what it's doing for to your life. It's like a hand puppet, like this diagram shows. See what it's costing you, that it's an illusion of your own creation. There's no less strong reason to create such a important survival mechanism, but that threat may have long since passed. The threat that your ex is going to come and do something to you, or the threat that talking about how you feel is extremely uncomfortable. It could be the threat that someone would rape you again, or hit you again, or leave you again. What is it that you might have created a monster for? To protect you in some area. It's then when you see it for what it is that you can really deconstruct why you may have needed that monster in the first place, and what you would think that you may have needed it for. And now instead create a new possibility of being, a new way of responding, an action in life that you could go through. I often say nowadays, look, I'm going out to do XYZ because I don't want to do XYZ. For example, I went and sold some product through cold calling for sales for a friend of mine. And I went there and I was authentic with the people and said, I'm here because I don't want to be here. I'm here because I want to have a breakthrough in selling, and it's my biggest fear. And you know, they were so nice because I was being authentic and it was obvious. And of course, we sold some product in there and it made a big difference. Alright, so in any case, take responsibility that this is a way to get control. If you take responsibility, it's a way to get back control. In any case, it's your monster. It's your creation. Don't push that responsibility for it onto others. It's your now new skewed view in this area. Being aware of its mere existence is quite a breakthrough. So what happens is you start to see it for what it's really worth. And beware of a sneaky common monster like I don't get it, and I need help with this. Because often that can be one of the most powerful monsters, because it involves others to do the dirty work for people. I say, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. And others run around doing the dirty work for them. And you're not actually helping them, you're throwing them under a bus. And that might be your own children that you try and fix everything for, when you're actually not allowing them to be who they need to be able to fix things for themselves. Because of your own fears of, for example, in that example, maybe not being cared for and supported. It may be just the monster right there hiding itself. They want to survive, so they will hide very much so. And a lot of that, in my exposure and experience so far, has been a dotted line to accountability and acceptance of your responsibility. Once you do really get that and are responsible that you created these monsters through a real or imagined threat when you were very young, and that threat has long since passed, that you therefore would have a skewed view in this area, a skewed view about love, a skewed view about feelings, or a skewed view about abuse, or a skewed view about fixing everything for your children, or whatever it is for you. Once you get that though, you can start to work with it rather than against it, or letting your monster jump in front and start controlling your life.